What's up, guys? This is Void of Dust Gaming, your channel for fresh Arena of Valor content. Today we are going to take a closer look on AMILY, a warrior slash bruiser hero who is able to dish out tremendous amounts of damage, especially if you are focusing on a single target hero. I'm going to show you this in some sort of beginner's guide, so if you are new to the game or if you haven't really gotten into AMILY, this is the perfect start for you. And we are starting off by looking at the hero's abilities, because I think that's where the magic starts to happen. So if you are going to the warriors bracket and you are choosing AMILY here we go. That's Irie. We've got AMILY here. As you can see, she's not really that difficult. Her damage is actually quite okayish. Her survivability is quite okayish, but this changes completely if you're using the ultimate, but we're going to talk about that in a second. So AMILY is a close combat hero who's able to just pinpoint an opponent in his or her tracks, and we're going to talk about how she does that. First, we're talking about the passive, and it's quite straightforward. So your normal attacks and chain attacks, if they do only hit one target, she deals 50% additional damage, and you guys are going to see how impactful that is in the gameplay that comes in about a minute, or maybe 2 minutes, or maybe 5 minutes or something, because this is going to take a little bit longer, because we want to check all the spells and stats that she has in order to prepare you for the battlefield. So you are going to take another hero into your focus, and you're going to deal damage to them, because then your passive is proccing. So this is quite important. You are a duelist, so you want to focus on one-on-one fights at the early stage of the game. Her second ability is Kickblade, and while this is really long to read, the most important thing is that you're going to throw a blade into an enemy. So this is a shot that you actually have to aim towards an enemy, and then it's bouncing up to 4 times between different enemies. It's going to deal damage, it's going to reduce the movement speed of them, and the most important thing is that you're going to restore some of your health. So this is basically the spell that you're going to sustain a little bit longer in the lane. So if you are on low health, what you want to do is you're going to fling this blade on a minion, and in the best scenario there is a hero, an enemy hero nearby, so that the blade can jump towards them, and then you're going to heal for 6% plus 1% for every physical damage. And we are going to make sure that you get a lot of physical damage with your build, which I'm going to talk about later on in the intro here. So this is kind of like I would say this is more sorts of a something that you are going to use for poke damage. This is not something that you use for the damage output, but it's a good initiator because it assures that the enemy is slowed by 30% with the first target. Additional 50% movement speed reduction. So this is actually really good if you are in a one-on-one fight and you're using this to open up the fight. Your second ability, the combo, is basically the one where the damage comes from. So you are going to launch into a chain of attacks. You're going to deal a lot of damage, knocking the target into the air. And whenever the enemy is caught into this kind of combo, they can't get out unless they use something, for example, Flicker or any other spell, to dash away from you. As well as your first ability, you are going to have a little bit of more max HP and mana points here, and you're going to get some movement speed after you're exiting the combat. But this is the bread and butter skill. This is basically the stuff where your damage comes from, and you should always use it wisely. So I would advise you to first use your first ability, and then you're going to follow up with this combo move, because the first ability ensures that the enemy is going to be a little bit slower, and this is going to improve your aiming with this skill by a lot, because it's another shot that you have to aim at the hero. You can of course auto cast it, but you should always make sure that you land the hit, because this is where your damage comes from. Your ultimate enrage is something which is going to put you on other levels. Sometimes it's referred to being this kind of sane thing. So you are going to change your hair, you are going to become a lot stronger, and Emily becomes cold-blooded after 1 second and deals 150 magic damage, which is actually really, really good because magic damage is something that enemies need to build resistance against. You will get 100 attack damage and 50 movement speed, and you're going to deal damage that is going to income. And she also deals magic damage to nearby enemies every 1.5 seconds for 8 seconds. So this is going to be really strong. If you want to whittle an enemy down with your spells, you should, for example, use your first ability, then go into in range mode, and then try to hit your combo. And most of the enemies should be finished after this combo chain, and I'm going to show you how to use it properly, because there were a lot of scenes where I was able to do that in the gameplay, which is about to come in a couple of minutes. So this is the stuff that you're going to use. Skill-wise and equipment-wise, I have decided to take a build which is actually quite nice, and I'm going to switch this one for the good old Hercules Madness. And you should build this item a little bit earlier on in the game. So this is basically a build where you are trying to use a hybrid build for a warrior. So you've got the Gilded Greaves in here, which you should always switch out for Sonic Boots, as I'm going to do in the video, if there are a lot of attack-based damage sources, for example, a lot of AD carries. If there are a lot of mages and a lot of crowd control stuff, you should always take the Gilded Greaves, because they got the unique passive resistance is increased by 35%, which means that if there is going to be a CC spell on you, the duration of that spell is decreased by 35%. Then we're taking Spear of Longinus, because it's going to increase your survivability as long as you got normal attacks and some cooldown reduction, which is actually super nice. Then we're going with the Omni Arms, because it's just a well-rounded item. You get a lot of stuff from that. Max HP is increased, normal attacks, attack speed. You can read it for yourself. Hercules Madness is actually a hybrid item, which is not matched by any of the other items in this game, because you do get normal attacks as well as some armor, and the unique passive Berserk, so it increases lifesteal, and you will get a shield, which is actually super powerful. I'm not using it in the video that you're going to see, but I would advise you to buy this item. And then we're going with the Medallion of Troy as our mage resistance item, or magic resistance item. And last but not least, I'm following with some Clave Sancti, which is going to increase our crit chances and the crit damage. But if you are not favoring this item, I would advise you to go with Fenris Tooth, and that's basically it for the item build. In terms of Arcana, I'm using something which is quite common and not really that sophisticated. We are boosting our normal attacks, armor pierce, and movement speed. That comes from 10 times Onslaught. We're using 10 times Assassinate. And last but not least, one of my most favorite Arcanas out there in the game is Skewer, enhancing normal attacks as well as giving us this lovely armor pierce, so that we're able to shred through armor even early game. When it comes to the enchantments, because she is the duelist, of course you are going to use a Burning Grudge. It was Desperate Duel before. I think the name was better fitting before they have changed it, but it's basically doing you're going to get a stack, and for that stack you're going to recover some HP, and you're going to get a certain percentage of pierce, which is actually quite nice, and it's fitting up to the build. We're using Shadowblade here because it's actually working with our second ability. We're going with Deadly Claw to here we go, to improve our attack damage, and then we're going with Axe of Sacrifice to get that damage by 3% increase even further, and then we're using Holy Verdict for some additional magic pierce. So as you can see, this build is focusing on damage quite a lot. So this is the build, and all you guys need to know about the abilities and how to set her up. And I think now it's time for some lovely gameplay to just make everything happen what I was talking about before. So let's prepare for that and enjoy. Alright guys, so we are using the new feature, which is this kind of aerial mode, just because I realized that if I'm activating this mode, the game is not really recording it as I have been used to. So I guess this is something that we are going to just have a look upon, and you guys are going to tell me if this is better for your overall understanding. And if you find this useful, I will implement this kind of view in the game later on. If you tell me that the other guides have been more useful because there was actually some in-game stuff as well as using the abilities, we are going to switch into the ego mode again. But this time I need to use this because otherwise I'm not able to show you the gameplay. So I zoomed out a little bit, and now you're going to see basically the stats here. So you get the kills, you got the gold lead, and I think that's actually quite useful. So as you can see, what I was doing, I was focusing on getting into the enemy jungle as early as possible. I was fighting against Chi on the solo lane. I was a little bit intimidated because Chi is actually a hero which is quite powerful nowadays. She is basically on the S tier, so she's one of the best heroes in the solo lanes. So I wasn't sure if I would be able to beat her, but as you can see, with a flicker kill, we are able to get first blood. Unfortunately, I was standing a little bit too long in the tower, and therefore I was been killed on the other hand, but I just wanted to maintain the pressure. And as I said, I was using my abilities, getting the first ability onto Chi, and then afterwards I was following up with my second ability in order to make her bleed for what she was about to do. And as you can see, she's not really an experienced player, and you guys are going to see that in hindsight when you are about to witness the post-game stats. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so that you get a better understanding on what I use on the battlefield, because I think that is actually more helpful than this zoomed out view where you can't really see too much detail. So of course it's always your focus to deal with those minions every single time. I am done with the minions. What I'm trying to do is to get into the mid lane to see if there is actually some kind of play that I can do. Of course, I do not really have the information that you guys are going to see right now in this kind of aerial mode, where you will have the positioning of all the enemy heroes. This is of course different when you're playing the game and you can't see that and you don't have that information. So you've got the God mode, so you can see every single thing. And I just transitioned myself into this kind of ultimate rage state. And as you can see, because of the damage reduction that you get from it, it was even possible to defend myself against both Chi and Butterfly. Now Chi is trying to get away here. Butterfly is making a way towards the mid lane, and I didn't know that before, so I saw that Butterfly and Valheim were fighting against our Crixie, and I just made a play here in order to get a double kill, and it worked out nicely. And as I said, what I'm going to do every single time is I'm going to open up the fight with my first ability, and then afterwards I'm going to use my second ability to get the damage into the enemies, and it's always working quite nicely. So as you can see, we are again in ult state. I was flickering towards Chi here, and I'm able to get another kill. So we are sitting on a really comfortable 5-1 right now. And because Chi is dead, I made my way to the tower in order to get it. It's a ranked gameplay, so if you guys are asking yourself how can this happen, what was going on, how you were you able to get enemies like that, because the overall score is going to be quite huge. Valheim on the enemy team is going to play basically the same game that I was playing as a solo laner in terms of the stats, so he's going to have the same amount of kills. So it was kind of even because of him, but otherwise I think the opposing team wasn't that experienced, and it shows. It's just something that shows within the game, because I was able to just dominate that Chi without any problem. And I think usually I should have had a harder time against Chi, because she's actually such a powerful champion. So here's another bloodbath for me. I think that was poorly played by that what's her name, by that butterfly. The problem is that butterfly wasn't taking the jungle talent, so she was not really a real jungler. The enemy has also got 2 AD carries, which makes their play a little bit harder. They do not really have a true tank, so I think that the team composition, while I was a little bit frightened at first because I was going up against Chi, is in our favor, because we've got Poira, who is bringing so much utility to the battlefield. We've got a real jungler. I mean, Butterfly on our team wasn't the best jungler ever, but still we had every single role fit, and I think it just shows in the overall outcome. When you're taking, for example, the gold, because we are already leading with 2k gold ahead, and as you can see, Chi is really trying to move into me, really trying to do something, but she is so far behind that it's basically not valuable at all. And now we do get the tower. She still stays, and I do have an easy time on getting the damage in. While Crixie is getting the kill, I still do get an assist, and we have all the time in the world to get the other tower here. And afterwards, what you're going to do is you're going to get straight back, because you don't know if any of the other heroes is going to retreat. Our minions are a little bit slow, and as you can see, Valheim would have been there, like right on time. Valheim and Vera would have been there to defend the tower, and of course that was something that we would not risk here. At least I wouldn't risk it. And while everything was going well, I got another kill with the butterfly here, and I think it's okay to say that I basically carried this platinum game. It's my positioning match, so there are more games to come, but I thought it's going to be a good game to show the capabilities of AMILY, as well on showing you how the hero actually works. Okay, so that's zoomed out. I mean, that's the most that I can do against it. I knew that Valheim was about to get that minion creep, so I was trying to deny it by using my first ability, but it's not dealing that much of a damage. It's more of sort of a utility spell, and unfortunately I was damaged here by a lot of other players, a lot of the enemies, and I was really lucky to get away. And if not for the Poira, I would not have been able to get here out alive. So thanks, Poira, if you're ever going to see that match. Thank you so much for the support. That was really great. And now we have a problem upcoming here, because as you can see, the Valheim on the enemy team is already standing on a 7-1, so he is the one who is definitely dominating the team fights here. He's got a strong kit against our team, because we've got a lot of not that well armored heroes, and therefore we need to be super careful, because he's able to whittle down Telenas as well as Crixie without a problem. And I'm the only one, I think, right now at this point of the game who is able to contest him. And of course, this was my one goal. So as you can see, we're doing a lot of damage here. I'm jumping in with another flicker kill, and I just made it out alive barely with just 2 points or 2 bars of health. But this is how strong AMILY is. Of course, if she's fed. If I would not have been that fed, of course the game would have looked a little bit differently. But you have a really good kit to fight against single heroes. And as I shown you in the ability description before, when we're talking about how to use her, this is basically the way to go. You want to open up the fight with your S1, and then you want to follow up with your S2. And if you've got ult mode on, you are going to enrage yourself to even better stats, and you have an easier time to get the enemy heroes. So I was seeing that Butterfly was basically fighting Butterfly here. Let's go. Here we go. But our Butterfly was killed. I don't know how this was even possible. And she's getting away, I think, right on time. I was just focusing on getting the minions out here to push the lanes, and now I see that there's a lot of pressure from Valheim as well as Vera, and as you can see, Valheim is actually having a good time against me. If that was a flicker, like if I wouldn't have flickered right into his position and just killed him with my S2, I think that I would have been going down against him. And now we've got every single time in the world to get the tower. We are 3. We've got a minion wave pushed here. There is Butterfly trying to secure the tower, but I sacrificed myself here for the secured tower shot. And now the only thing that we need to do is to get Telenas and Crixie into position. And at least what they were doing is they focused everything on the core, and we won the game. So that was my first positioning match. Went fairly well, and I think it was a good showcase on how good Emily can be if you're going to get ahead. As you can see, we are here on a 14, 10, 3, 4, 8,300 gold, but still Valheim got 2,000 gold more than I did, sporting on a 12.1, but I think that was okay-ish. Let's see the quick buy. You have seen the build before, so this is just the start of it. It would have been even better if we've got more items, and detail-wise, I was able to dish out 33% of the overall damage, tanking most of the damage for my team, and having the best fight participation in the game so far. And yeah, I think Emily is actually a really cool character. It's really fun to play her from time to time, but of course there are better solo laners in the game, and if you're going against a really experienced Chi, or for example an Elaine, or even a tank, you need to adopt your playstyle to that. Play a little bit more safe, use your poke with your S1 for early trades, try to get your you can even try to get your S2 in, and then afterwards use your S1 to get away from the fight. That's another example on how to use her setup, and you are going to be good, but you would stay under tower a little bit more often in a scenario where the solo lane is a little bit stronger. As you can see, the Chi wasn't really that strong. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope it helped for beginners and you could take something away from this, some information. And yeah, if you want to see more videos and more beginners guides, then just hit the subscribe button, put on the notification bell, because this is going to show you whenever I upload a new video. And yeah, thumbs ups are always appreciated. I love the likes here. So stay tuned, stay healthy, and enjoy your time on the battlefield. Bye.